June 6, 1944. Along the coast of Pas-de-Calais, German soldiers waited for the Allied invasion. Their commanders were certain this was the target. The beaches were fortified, every rifle ready, but nothing happened. The sea was empty, the silence unsettling. Meanwhile, in Normandy, chaos erupted. Thousands of Allied troops stormed ashore under fire. The real invasion had begun, catching the Germans off guard. Most of the German army was still waiting at Pas-de-Calais, fooled by a masterful deception. How did this happen? How did the Germans get it so wrong? The answer, a Spanish chicken farmer named Juan Pujol Garcia. With no training, he convinced the Nazis the invasion would strike Calais, not Normandy. Even as the Allies fought in Normandy, Hitler refused to move his best troops, believing it was a diversion. Pujol, known as Agent Garbo to the British and Arabelle to the Germans, spun a web of lies. He invented 27 fake spies, wrote detailed reports, and earned the Germans total trust. They paid him handsomely for his imaginary network. At the war's most critical moment, they believed his greatest lie. His deception saved thousands of lives and changed history. The story of D-Day's success begins with one man's imagination. Juan Pujol Garcia was an unlikely spy, born in Barcelona, a failed chicken farmer and hotel manager. The Spanish Civil War showed him the horrors of fascism and communism, fueling his hatred for totalitarianism. When World War II erupted, he saw Nazi Germany as a threat to humanity. He felt compelled to act, despite having no connections or experience. His motivation was pure conviction, not money or fame. He believed Britain was the last hope against Nazi tyranny, and decided to become a spy. It was a wild idea. He knew nothing about espionage, only what he'd read in books. But his ordinariness was his greatest asset. No one would suspect him. Pujol's failures made him invisible, but his determination set him apart. He was convinced he could outwit the Nazis with his mind. He offered his services to the British, driven by conscience and courage. Rejected repeatedly, he refused to give up. Pujol's journey from a Spanish farm to the heart of Allied intelligence is proof that one person's imagination can change the world. He was invisible, but his purpose was extraordinary. He would become the master deceiver no one saw coming. Sometimes, the most unremarkable people make the biggest difference, and Pujol was about to prove it. Determined, Pujol approached the British embassy in Madrid, offering to spy for them. They dismissed him. No experience, no credentials, just a dreamer. Undeterred, Pujol hatched a new plan. He'd pretend to spy for the Germans first. He convinced the Nazis he was a loyal fascist, eager to gather intelligence from Britain. The Germans, desperate for information, accepted him. They gave him a crash course in espionage, a code name, Arabelle, and money. He was supposed to go to London, but he had no visa. Instead, he set up shop in Lisbon, Portugal, and began his double game. From his apartment, he started sending reports to the Germans, all fabricated. He invented a network of informants, none of whom existed. The Germans believed every word, never suspecting their new agent was their greatest enemy. Pujol's gamble had paid off. He was now a German agent, but his true goal was to help the Allies. He hoped the British would finally notice his elaborate ruse. He had fooled the Nazis, but the real challenge was just beginning. Pujol was now a spy, self-made, self-taught, and ready to change the war. Sometimes the best spies are the ones no one wants, and Pujol was about to prove it. In Lisbon, Pujol built his spy network from scratch, using only a guidebook, a map, and his imagination. He sent detailed reports to the Germans, pretending to be deep inside Britain. To seem credible, he invented 27 sub-agents, pilots, students, waiters, and more. Each had a backstory, a role, and even expense reports. He reported the death of one agent, prompting the Germans to pay a pension to a fictional widow. Pujol's attention to detail was astonishing. He blended real news from British radio with his own fabrications. For example, he'd report on a convoy leaving Liverpool. Accurate, but always too late to be useful. The Germans were thrilled, convinced they had a vast network in Britain. Pujol's reports overwhelmed German intelligence with believable, useless information. They trusted him completely, never realizing he was inventing everything from Lisbon. His greatest weapon was his imagination. The Germans had no idea their star agent was a one-man show. Pujol's phantom network was the perfect illusion, and it was about to become the Allies' secret weapon. Pujol's genius was making lies sound real by mixing them with truth. He'd use facts from newspapers, then twist the details, just enough to seem authentic. He described daily life in Britain, from rationing to public mood, adding color to his reports. Even his mistakes, like claiming Scots loved wine, made him seem more believable. The Germans overlooked these errors, trusting his flood of information. When his reports were late or wrong, he blamed the British Postal Service or his agents. These excuses added realism, making his network seem human. German analysts were overwhelmed, convinced Arabelle was their top asset. Pujol's operation was a masterpiece of deception, run by one man from another country. The Germans never suspected the truth. British codebreakers intercepted messages from Arabelle, a supposed German agent in Britain. MI5 found no trace of his network, because it didn't exist. They noticed odd errors like the wine-loving Scots, and realized Arabelle wasn't in Britain at all. Meanwhile, Pujol tried again to contact the British, this time through an American attaché. MI5 finally connected the dots. The persistent Spaniard and the mysterious Arabelle were the same. They brought Pujol to London, amazed by his solo achievements. He was given the codename Garbo after the actress for his acting skills. Now with MI5's support, Garbo's imaginary network became a powerful tool. He was no longer a rogue agent, he was the Allies' secret weapon. The stage was set for the greatest deception of the war. Pujol's imagination was about to change history. As the Allies planned the invasion of Europe, they needed to mislead the Germans about where it would happen. Operation Fortitude was born, a plan to convince Hitler the attack would come at Pas de Calais, not Normandy. At the heart of this plan was Agent Garbo and his phantom spies. Garbo sent hundreds of messages describing a massive army, Fusag, preparing to strike Calais. The Germans believed every word, moving their best troops away from Normandy. On D-Day, Garbo reported the Normandy landings as a diversion, insisting the real attack was still to come. The German high command trusted him, keeping their forces in Calais for weeks. This delay gave the Allies the time they needed to secure Normandy. Garbo's lies became the truth the Germans acted on. The invasion's success owed everything to deception. Garbo's messages were backed by a world of physical deception. The Allies built fake armies, rubber tanks, wooden planes, and dummy landing craft across from Calais. German planes photographed these decoys, confirming Garbo's reports. Fake radio traffic mimicked a real army's chatter, reinforcing the illusion. Every detail, from fake tickets to shoulder patches, supported the story. Garbo and his handler crafted personal dramas for each imaginary agent. The Germans were trapped in a web of lies, unable to see the truth. The deception was total, a masterpiece of storytelling and misdirection. And it worked perfectly, thanks to a Spanish chicken farmer's imagination. D-Day was a success, and Operation Fortitude a triumph. Garbo's deception saved countless lives and changed the war's course. The British honored him with the MBE. The Germans, still fooled, awarded him the Iron Cross. After the war, fearing Nazi revenge, Pujol vanished with MI5's help. They faked his death, and he started a new life in Venezuela as a shopkeeper. For decades, the world believed Garbo was dead. Even his family knew nothing of his secret past. His story became legend, a mysterious footnote in espionage history. In 1984, British writer Nigel West tracked him down in Venezuela. Pujol was alive, his secret finally revealed. He returned to Europe, celebrated as a hero. On the 40th anniversary of D-Day, he visited Normandy, moved to tears by the role he played. He died in 1988, his story finally told. Juan Pujol Garcia remains proof that one person's courage and imagination can change the world. The man who created an army of phantoms became a legend. Sometimes the greatest heroes are the ones no one ever sees, and sometimes the best weapon is a story.